This is episode 185 of the Super League Pod, where you can sense the bubbling tension from me about my team, feel the burgeoning optimism amidst memories of despair from Alan about his team, and also catch up on a whole host of news and your fan reviews. Get strapped in for your favourite podcast, the Super League Pod. Right, hello everyone, welcome along to episode 185 of the Super League Pod. Mark here, your usual regular host and Wigan fan, and I'm joined this week by Bradford supporter Alan Cale. Hiya Alan, great to have you back on the show, how are you?
Yes, I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, very good.
Good stuff. Nice. It's been a few weeks since you were last on the show. I think since you were last on the show you've picked up your Instagram game, I've noticed.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, just a few bits and pieces there, just trying it out, you know, getting down with the kids.
Getting down with the kids, good stuff.
About 5 years too late, but yeah.
Well, I think it's about time that, like, older people got onto Instagram and started ruining that for the younger people. Yeah, like
exactly.
We've been through the process with Facebook and Twitter. I think it's now Instagram's turn to be ruined by people in the 30s and 40s.
It's officially dead if I'm interested in it, so there you go.
Have you been up to anything of note, Instagram or otherwise, in the last few weeks?
I'm trying to think what I've been up to. I mean, the main thing I've been really doing since kind of I was last on the show was finishing my degree off. Excellent. So obviously you were talking about Emma finishing her kind of submission and getting all that kind of stuff in. So yeah, so mine finished last week. So that's a bit of that's 6 years work kind of done. So it's a weird feeling really. But,
when do you get your final results?
Mid-July, but I mean it's because it's a continuous assessment thing. I think it's pretty nailed on. I've kind of got a 2-1, I think. I'd have to do something really terrible at the last one to foul that one up. But yeah, so that's been really good. So that's been a busy 6 years. But yeah, and then other than that, as a family, we went to the triathlon in Leeds this weekend, which was good.
Heartbreak, one of the Brownlees, I'm not sure which one. I briefly heard a news bulletin when I was travelling around at the weekend that one of the Brownlees had to pull out during the...
Yeah, because see, my daughter's been to it 3 years in the row, and a Brownlee, or certainly Alistair's always won it. So she was very much expecting him to win again. So we had to kind of gently just say, well, you know, you're not going to win every time, and it doesn't always work like that. But yeah, there was a British winner in the women's race, so that was good.
So that inspire your daughter.
Yeah,
good stuff. I've been busy on my Instagram game as well this weekend. I don't normally put stuff on Instagram, but for some reason I felt inspired yesterday when me and Emma were at the Midland Hotel in Morecambe where we got married. It was a gym festival. We'd had a barbecue the day before at my parents' house. It's Emma's birthday tomorrow, and obviously we're finishing all the work and stuff, wanting to celebrate things a little bit. And it's been a rough couple of months. So
yes, I can imagine.
So she needed to unwind and all that. So we had a bit of a barbecue on Saturday, and then left our sun cream unfortunately at my parents and forgot all about that. And then on Sunday afternoon when we were sat outside the Midland Hotel with gin in hand, we realised, oh crap, we've got no sun cream whatsoever. So we're both pretty sunburnt today. I'd got my base kind of level on over the last few weeks with the rugby and all that, but I'd had a cap on, hadn't I, all the time, so my forehead is a certain shade of scarlet and all that. Yeah, but happy birthday to my wife Emma for tomorrow.
Yes. Happy birthday,
or today when people are listening, or what have you. And then it's her degree show where she shows off all the work from her architecture masters on Thursday night. So I'm really disappointed that I'll not be following along Widnes versus Salford live, and I'll have to watch it back later and fast forward through all the dull bits. But there we go.
Cool.
Okay. Coming up on this week's show, then, we're going to give our views on the England squad when we get into the news after a couple of bits of feedback from last week. Then got game reviews from loads of games, Alan. We've got all the Super League games. We've got stuff from State of Origin and the French Cup final as well as a few games thrown in between from Championship and League One and whatnot. So we've got all that to look forward to. Just a throwback to one of the things that I was discussing with Sarah last week, because the Super League pod referee has been in touch, Paul O'Brien, and he got in touch to say, just listen to Super League pod and they are talking about replays at Sky games. In my opinion, the screen should only have action on it when it's showing a video ref decision. Sky are constantly going over events during the game which is being shown in the ground and causes controversy. And I was just wondering if you had a view on this, because obviously every single penalty, every time there's either a knock-on or reefed out at the play of the ball, 50-50 call situation, it gets replayed over and over again until everyone, no matter who they support, can decide that it's gone against them. So what do you think? Do you think video kind of should be scrapped a bit?
I think it's useful to have it in the ground, because it might be helpful if you're, at some grounds you're a bit further away from the action, or you're not, you're at one end or the other, and you can't necessarily see very well. I certainly, a couple of times when I was down one end at St James's, I was looking at the screen just to see what was going on at the action end. You could probably go for something in between and have a pure feed of the live cameras rather than replays. If you said replays are banned, but you just show a live feed. So whatever the main cameras are showing, you just kind of show that. So if they are just wandering around waiting for a scrum or whatever, just show that.
Stir up extra controversy. Yeah, well,
exactly.
I think on our coverage we overdo replays of the bits of action from before, particularly if it's something that's potentially a penalty. Think how many tries, the replays even to the tries from Sky start with the error or the penalty that got them the field position, and I just think that's a bit unnecessary to even start with that. Let's focus on the quality parts of the play rather than the negative bits that might have led to the field position. That would be a wider stance on the use of replays on our television coverage. So I think your halfway house would be a good idea. It's just a shame that probably no one's going to produce that, are they?
Well, the thing is that they don't have to do anything. They just have to show whatever the main camera feed is, and just leave it at that. And then you cut away when you're doing your video ref decisions. That would there's nothing necessarily to do. And as you say, when they're showing the last mistake or the knock on or whatever, or the suspicious forward pass or whatever beforehand, it's all about building the narrative for Sky, isn't it? That's what they're doing. It's this kind of storytelling that bears sometimes very little. It has very little bearing on what actually happens in the game sometimes.
No, exactly, yeah. But it's better to have a narrative that doesn't fit the true flow of events than not to have one at all in some people's eyes. Okay. I just want to, before we finish the shout-outs as well, I want to thank all the people who mentioned us in response to Gareth Walker's tweet. He did a tweet, I think it was on Tuesday. It might have been on Monday, actually, late last week when I was editing the show together. He did a tweet asking people about the favourite podcast for a potential column he's doing for the next edition of Rugby League World magazine. And running through the mentions and the replies off the back of that from Gareth, there was loads of people who mentioned us, some people who are regular contributors to the show, some people who are regular co-hosts to the show, but also some people who we don't hear from as much nowadays, or a few names that I didn't recognise very much at all. So thanks to everyone who mentioned us in that, and hopefully we'll get coverage in the column, because that'd be a big boost to me and to the SLP family and all of that. But I just want to thank everyone who mentioned us anyway and took the time out to do that, because it means a lot to me to have the support of the listeners and the wider Rugby League community. So big thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to move on to what probably is going to be as big a section as the match reviews this week, Alan. So we're going to look around the world of Rugby League in the news from the last week.
Great.
News now from around the world of Rugby League, sponsored by littlewarden.com. If you have a website, then visit littlewarden.com and see what they can do to help you. They can help you with domain expiration checks, redirects, and all sorts of other important background web stuff that they'll make simple for you. Little Warden, monitoring the tedious. And we start, as we just mentioned, with England. And it's the headline really is that uncapped trio Jake Connor, Luke Thompson and Tommy Makinson have been included in England's squad for this month's test against New Zealand. The 19-man squad also includes a recall for George Burgess. So the England squad in full is John Bateman, George Burgess, Sam Burgess, Tom Burgess, Jake Connor, James Graham, Ryan Hall, Chris Hill, Johnny Lomax, Tommy Makinson, Jermaine McGilvray, Sean O'Loughlin, who'll captain the side, Mark Percival, Stephen Ratchford, James Roby, Luke Thompson, Gareth Widdop, George Williams and Elliot Whitehead. So obviously it's a 19-man squad, so it's a slightly smaller squad than we took to a World Cup. There's some new names in there, but most of those players are the expected players that are retained over from what was a strong World Cup outing. I've put together my matchday 17 that I'd pick as it stands on form and fitness of the players selected, and I'm going to run through that, Al, and then I'll let you chip in at the end with any differences or any question marks over what I've gone. So I'd go with Ratchford at fullback.
Okay.
Then I'd go Hall, Percival, Bateman and McGilvray as my three-quarter line. I'd have Lomax at 6 and Widdop at 7. I'd have a starting front row of Hill, Roby and Graham. My back row would be Sam Burgess and Elliot Whitehead with Sean O'Loughlin at loose forward. Then my bench would be Tom and George, Luke Thompson, so I'm going for a bit of size on my bench, and I'd go Jake Connor on my bench. So the guys that miss out of the matchday lineup will be Makinson and Williams for me.
Okay. I'd have Makinson in. I'd make room for him. In my opinion, I don't.
Would you play him on the wing or in the centre?
Wing. This is the thing, isn't it? Because I don't think either Hall or McGilvray are in great form, really. And well, you kind of think that
two of the best players at the World Cup, weren't they?
They were, but that's it's a dim and distant past now, isn't it? I mean, you should be trying to pick up. If this week has taught you anything about selection, representative squads. If you look at what New South Wales did, pick on form, pick on who's playing well, and it might just work for you. So reputation's great and everything, but I'd be inclined to put Makinson in. I'm not sure who I'd miss out.
Well, no, don't sit on the fence like that.
No, well, probably if I had to choose one, I'd probably drop Hall. I think he's getting too big and too slow to be on the wing anymore. Particularly if you're against. I'm not sure who he'd be up against, but is Fisitua still kind of for New Zealand? Or
I think he's pitched himself in the Tonga camp.
Okay. Okay, two of Arsashek or whoever.
I haven't
whoever
seen the
against.
New Zealand squad actually. That's
no, neither have I.
I'm not sure.
I'm making a guess, but the speed is generally not something they struggle for. So I'd be inclined to leave Hall out. In terms of my utility, fullback's a difficult one, isn't it? I'd be possibly inclined to put maybe Lomax at fullback and have Ratchford on the bench as a utility, and Connor to miss out. Then therefore I'd have Williams in. Williams in 6 or 7.
I just think, Williams behind a pack that could dominate might be a great thing to see. It's just Williams hasn't been playing behind one of those for nearly a month now, and I kind of think he hasn't shown the form at international stage either to justify him being ahead of Lomax in that selection and criteria. And I just think go with form. Lomax is playing well in the 6 shirt. Widdop's doing the job controlling things for the Warriors. So not for the Warriors, for the Dragons. So
yeah.
So I'm happy with him doing that.
Oh yeah, Widdop's my first. He's my first name on the team sheet.
Yeah.
Before you get to O'Loughlin or anybody.
Yeah. I suppose there's a question over. I'd have Connor in because of form. I think he's playing so well. He's doing so many different things. He can fill in all those positions. The one worry I've got though is Williams can fill in at hooker and Roby might not be able to go 80 minutes in Denver. And I'm just saying that because, and I don't like doubting James Roby, as you know, but no. he's not been playing the full 80 of late, for Saints week in, week out. And then playing the full 80 in Denver might be a bit of a stretch. So that might edge Williams ahead of either Connor onto the